You can listen to The Professional Left wherever you get your podcasts, on Netroots Radio, or at our website, proleftpod.com, where you can also contribute to this podcast. There's a PayPal button at our website, or you can mail us a letter and or contribution at P.O. Box 9133, Springfield, Illinois, 62791.
This is the podcast for March 3rd, 2026. It's not safe for work.
Recorded live from the Cornfield Resistance, where, against stupidity, the gods themselves still contend in vain. It's The Professional Left with Driftglass and Blue Gal. As you all know, since the last time we were together, the first war of Donald Trump's self-proclaimed Board of Peace era has begun.
Yes, it has. This unprovoked attempt at regime change in Iran has been described as, quote, massive and ongoing major combat operations, and was carried out in collaboration with Israel. The attack has no clear legal foundation. It was launched while diplomatic talks to avert conflict were still underway, without consultation or authorization from Congress, and without any serious case being made to the American public about why it was necessary.
And they fanned out a whole deck of cards saying, pick an excuse, any excuse, or all of them, because, they don't know what they're doing. They're making stuff up after the fact. Iranian state media reported that Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was killed in the joint U.S.-Israeli strikes. In response, congressional Democrats said they would attempt to force votes on war powers resolutions to limit Trump's authority to continue U.S. military action against Iran.
The war itself rests on a ludicrous claim that Iran was on the verge of deploying nuclear weapons and that immediate military action was the only option. It sounds like yellow cake.
Yeah, it's got those aluminum tubes over there.
Aluminum tubes and so forth. This is the same administration that only months ago boasted that Iran's nuclear program had been completely obliterated.
Yeah, for you and I, Blue Gal, we talked about this briefly. Tyrion Lannister's skill set on Game of Thrones was, I drink and I know things.
Yeah.
And for every liberal person, podcaster and blogger of a certain age,
those of us who started in the 90s,
Yep. What is it, Generation Jones? Is that the little...
that's it.
Yep.
The people born in between Gen X and the boomers.
Right.
And there's this kind of wedge. Yeah, and
That's
it's us. And it's amazing how many left-wing bloggers who started right at the beginning of the blogger, and I mean that from the program, the blogger era, are 61 to 66.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we were brought in right at the beginning of desktop computers. We all worked help desk or IT.
Or taught technology.
Yeah. And then there was this way to self-express. Mm-hmm. And then the war happened.
Exactly. So, in that order,
Yeah.
Well, and so we don't...
I mean 2004, not 1994, of course. That's
we don't
what I mean.
drink and know... although we do drink and know things. That's not true. We blog and we remember things.
We blog and we remember things, and then we drink.
Yes, because we remember them.
Because we remember them.
I'm sure these numbers have changed since yesterday, but according to Al Jazeera, as of last night, at least 555 people had been killed in Iran, and at least 10 in Israel, 4 U.S. soldiers, and 5 people in Gulf states. And those numbers, of course, will almost certainly rise.
As for Donald Trump, this from The Guardian sums it up, quote, Trump says Iran war to last 4 to 5 weeks, but could go far longer. President says he ordered attacks to thwart Tehran nuclear aims, and then abruptly pivots to talk up White House ballroom.
Yeah. And I've heard 2 things about that today. One was the headline, "It's curtains for Donald Trump," which I thought, that's not me. I don't know where I heard it, but it's very funny.
He really wanted to talk about the drapes in the ballroom. Yeah.
Well, and the other one was, I think, from Joyce Carol Oates saying, it's a good thing that we don't have a female president, because any female president who in the middle of a war starts nattering on about drapery would be impeached immediately.
Immediately. Removed from office. Yep.
Also, in addition to his withering hand, Donald Trump now clearly has a massive rash or rash-like injury on his neck.
The situation is very confusing. So if you haven't left Twitter X already, we would suggest staying off of it, especially now, since it has become an overflowing sewer of MAGA lunacy, disinformation, AI fakes, and gleeful fascism.
Yeah, just stay away.
And I do have to add that the orgasms that Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes are having, calling Trump demonic.
Yeah.
Because he's obeying the Jews.
We were right about Trump.
Yeah.
We were right about Trump.
It's just obscene. And,
I guess I have a question for our friends over at the Bulwark. Now that Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes are saying mean things about Trump, are they our allies now?
Are they our allies because they're mad at Trump for quote unquote obeying the Jews?
Well, they're mad at Trump for whatever reason. Apparently, it doesn't matter as long as you say mean things about Trump.
Then you're one of our friends. Yeah. No.
Well, and now we have to do a very abrupt transition because today the subject is miracles. Now, miracles, as I'm sure you all know, are something extraordinary and astonishing that's attributed to the presence and action of an ultimate power or divine power.
It's still a word you can find everywhere. You can find it in a Barry Manilow song from 1975.
Absolutely.
If you want.
You can find it in a band name,
That's true. But
Smokey Robinson on the Miracles.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
The source of the miraculous has passed from the will of the gods to the hands of medical science, from the National Institutes of Health, RIP, I guess, although California and the West Coast and Illinois actually are keeping that alive.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, in the realm of medical miracles, few discoveries rival the significance of penicillin in revolutionizing the treatment of bacterial infections. This quote encapsulates the profound impact of penicillin on modern medicine, highlighting its role in saving countless lives and transforming healthcare practices worldwide, unquote.
Yeah. And the term miracle is also passed over into the realm of engineering. This is from Reuters from August of 2012. Oh, those were the days. Quote, NASA scientists hailed the Mars rover Curiosity's flawless descent and landing as a miracle of engineering on Monday, as they scanned early images of an ancient crater that may hold clues about whether life took hold on Earth's planetary cousin, unquote.
Then there's this from Marvel Comics.
It's not the world of spies anymore, not even the world of heroes. This is the age of miracles, Doctor. There's nothing more horrifying than a miracle.
And finally and sadly, there's this from Madison Avenue.
Isn't this fun?
Dad, we forgot to patch the tent. Can we go home?
We're staying.
Dad, we forgot the bug spray. Can we go home?
We're staying.
Oh, no. We forgot the Miracle Whip salad dressing.
No Miracle Whip?
A sandwich just isn't a sandwich without the tangy zip of Miracle Whip salad dressing, the bread spread from Kraft.
We're going.
So today we're going to talk about miracles. We're going to talk about the OG New Testament miracles, specifically the healing miracles. And even more specifically, we're going to look back at who and what those stories leave out.
Now, this isn't about disbelief or belief or even religion. This is about whether a handful of fish jerky and Doritos literally fed a football stadium full of hungry people so completely that there were leftovers. Quote, they all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 baskets full of broken pieces that were left over, unquote.
Yeah, so did this really happen? Literally happen? Come on now, of course it didn't really happen, at least not in any way that could be considered supernatural. Today we're going to try and set an example of how a liberal can shoot down conservative evangelicals on their ground using their own scriptures.
For example, John Fugelsang has been doing an excellent job of this for years and now has a book out titled Separation of Church and Hate, A Sane Person's Guide to Taking Back the Bible from Fundamentalists, Fascists, and Flock Fleecing Frauds, which is essential reading for anyone facing off against, well, fundamentalists, fascists, and flock fleecing frauds. I will say that carefully.
Thank you for the tongue twister there, John Fugelsang.
Yeah.
I guess if your last name.
And tonight is the Democratic primary.
Right.
And actually Republican Senate primaries in Texas, where this is getting big play.
It is. It is. And
Yeah.
at our adult Sunday school, we do talk about the fact that the media divides the world up into believers on the right and atheists on the left.
Yeah.
And we love our atheists. We have nothing but kind words to say about it. This isn't about converting anyone to anything. This is about understanding the moral lessons in the book that conservatives are always banging, and why they don't follow the moral teachings of the person they say they worship.
Big time hashtag fail on the Christianity front, folks. Yep.
And that's why we're focusing on the moral lessons behind this story. What values are being transmitted, first by word of mouth and later in writing? What are people supposed to learn here? And this one we just cited is fairly easy. The lesson is we're all in this together. And the best way for all of us to be fed, in whatever sense you take that, is to share with each other. And when people start sharing, it can become contagious. And you can end up with not only having enough for everyone, but more than enough, which you got to admit is a pretty good lesson.
Yeah. But you ask, that's one of the feeding miracles, not one of the healing miracles. I thought you were going to talk about the healing miracles, Driftglass.
Yes, I know. And I realize I'm treading on Bible bitch territory here. So, I'm getting glares from my wife over the little camera, which is a fair point. Okay, here are the healing miracles according to the Bible. Jesus performed 21 specific healing miracles, and there are 3 accounts that were summarized as him walking around doing a bunch of healings here and there all over the countryside. He cured family members and servants of Romans. He cured Peter's mother-in-law of her fever. He cured blindness. He cured paralysis. He cured 10 lepers in a row, and only one of them ever thanked him for it. Bastard. He broke the law, the holy law, by healing people on the Sabbath.
Now, I say this with some hesitation. If there are some deeply religious people listening, stick with me on this one. And this line was given to Bible bitch for a reason, because I get to say this. There was what we call around here the sometimes Jesus could be an asshole miracle, and is one of our favorite Bible stories.
Absolutely.
More charitably, you might call it the Jesus at the end of a 12-hour shift miracle. I would even call it Jesus had a little bit of ingrown bigotry on his human side.
Yeah.
That had to be smacked out of him a little bit. And this is the one where the Canaanite woman begs him to heal her daughter. And Jesus, no kidding, says, get lost, and tells her to piss off and calls her a dog, refers to her as, we're not going to give the children's food to dogs.
Which they definitely didn't cover at Faith United Protestant Church when I was just a wee shot glass of a lad.
Yeah. But instead of walking away or skulking away or telling him to get lost himself, she scolds him. And she tells him even a dog can eat the crumbs from the master's table that fall from the master's table.
Mm-hmm.
So she humbles herself and at the same time points out his analogy isn't quite accurate.
And this is to save her daughter's life.
It's to save her daughter's life. And she says, the goodness that comes from you is either abundant or it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it shook him up a little bit. And I think he was corrected and recognizing, this story, whether it really happened or not, again, we can do Bible school and talk about what really happened and what didn't. And how much of this came from Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole field of theology.
Yeah.
But the deal with this, of it shaking him up, and he cured her daughter, he had to expand his ministry past the Jews.
Yes, he did. And that because he cured Romans, Roman soldier, the family members of Romans, people who had nothing to do with his faith at all. A lot of them are this way. And the lesson here is that anyone from this particular, and we love this story, and it's a story. Anyone can have a bad day or get tired or, just get hit with one of those, too many of those, but I need this done now, demands on their time. Now that you're answering phones for a living, Blue Gal, perhaps you can relate to
coming home Monday night when I've answered 75 calls in the healthcare sector.
Yeah. and it's time for you to leave. And it's like, well, there's one more person on the line who really needs your help. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
But the lesson here is anyone can lose their temper. It's not the end of the world. Take a breath, recenter yourself. Remember that you're human and we all screw up, and then help others as best you can.
Yeah. One thing I have to constantly remind myself in this job is that my job is not to fix the people on the phone.
Right.
My job is to express benevolence and kindness.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can do that and hang up the phone with benevolence and kindness, then I've done my job.
Yeah, and route them as much as possible to the person who can help them.
Yeah. Yeah. Or make an appointment so they can do that. Yeah,
Exactly.
all that good stuff. Yeah. Now, back in November 2025 on the Professional F podcast, we talked about the long-term community effects of trauma. What happens when you live in a broken country run by a mad tyrant who is deploying U.S. military and paramilitary forces to American cities to terrorize people? And we interrogated the story of, is that the right word? Interrogated?
I think so. I like that word.
Interrogated is what it is.
We kicked back and rapped about. How's that?
Did. The story of the healing of the Gerasene man, in case you are unfamiliar. Quote, this man lived in the tombs and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons with his feet, on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, what do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me. For Jesus had said to him, come out of this man, you impure spirit.
So he's talking to something inside of this guy. And then Jesus asks him, what is your name? And most of you are familiar with this next line. My name is Legion, he replied, for we are many. And he begged Jesus again and again not to send him out of the area. Now, a large herd of pigs was feeding on a nearby hillside, and the demons begged Jesus, send us among the pigs, allow us to go into them. He gave them permission, and the impure spirits came out and went into the pigs. The herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned.
Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man and told about the pigs as well. Then the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. Mm-hmm. Please get out of here.
You're scaring us.
Yeah.
As Jesus was getting onto the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, go home to your people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you. So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed. A lot of stories end that way.
Yeah.
And the people were amazed, because that's a miracle.
And the people rejoiced, and the people were amazed, and however that is, yeah. Mm-hmm. Whether you take this literally, which, by the way, we don't,
yeah,
or metaphorically, or as a wisdom story, there's a lot to unpack here. First, the possessed man was almost certainly not Jewish, and none of the areas mentioned in the story, the Gerasenes and the Decapolis, are Jewish areas. These are Gentiles living and working in Greco-Roman towns. And even if you didn't look up the demographics of these towns during Roman times, you know, the presence of a herd of 2,000 pigs being domesticated and farmed, that's a dead giveaway.
Yeah, that's no. That's those are Gentiles. We're told the possessed man is immensely strong. That's what we know. Chains and shackles won't bind him. He just tears them apart. And he is in constant, terrible torment. He spends his days and nights wandering among the tombs and the hills. In other words, he wanders among the dead. And he cuts himself with stones. Today, we would recognize that behavior as someone physically hurting themselves as a way to try to cope with emotional pain, sadness, anger, and stress. Not demonic possession, but some kind of intensely damaging psychological trauma.
Then there's that word legion, and this is what we talked about earlier, late last year, which doesn't just mean a multitude or a vast number of things. In Roman times, it meant something very specific. It meant a unit of between 3,000 and 6,000 men in the ancient Roman army.
Yeah. So now let's all ask ourselves a pretty obvious question. Was there something especially traumatic involving Roman legions that might have happened in this region during the life of Jesus? Something that would have left permanent psychological scars on the people who witnessed it, and the people they told about it as stories about it were passed as it was being passed around the area. And the answer is yes. Terribly traumatic things. After the death of Herod the Great in 4 BC, the Roman-controlled region of Judea was thrown into turmoil by various messianic claims and general unrest. And the local Roman auxiliary garrison, the cops on the beat, were insufficient to handle the scale of the uprising. So the Roman governor of neighboring Syria deployed a large force of 3 to 4 legions to quell the rebellion.
These weren't traffic cops. This is somewhere between 9,000 and 24,000 battle-hardened frontline Roman troops being sent to crush the rebellion as quickly and brutally as possible. This isn't Meal Team 6.
No. And this we know actually happened. Multiple ancient historians, especially Josephus, described this period as chaotic, violent, and marked by very harsh Roman military interventions. Whole cities were burned to the ground, villages destroyed, the temple was occupied, at least 3,000 Jews were killed, and 2,000 of them crucified.
It's not hard to imagine someone becoming so traumatized by seeing all of this or hearing about it from adults who had lived through it that they would go mad. Maybe his whole family was wiped out by Roman soldiers.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You might wander among the dead, wail all night long, cut yourself with stones, and identify the demons that possessed you as the legion. This is the story of the long-term damage done when military force is deployed to terrorize civilian populations. And this is why we bring it back to Minnesota.
Yep.
And civilians are left feeling traumatized because at that time they were helpless and powerless to stop it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as if protesters would stand in front of Roman legions and chant, because they just kill them.
Yeah, right.
You know, the whole point of the Roman occupation was kill anybody that gets in our way, burn the cities down, leave it as an example to everyone else.
And the result of that was the peace, was the Pax Romana.
Yeah, the Pax Romana.
All of a sudden we're peaceful because we killed everybody who had any problems with us.
I forget the statistic. This is the length of Augustine. Augustine was the longest serving emperor.
Right.
And he's the one who created the Roman peace, the Pax Romana. And something like 4 days of all those decades he was in power, Roman legions weren't in the field.
Right.
So this is peace enforced by military strength and killing people at the frontiers and anybody who steps out of line.
Right.
So now that you've indulged us, let's ask ourselves another broader question. What do all the healing miracles have in common? Now, you're all a crack team of diagnosticians. You're all house MD. So go ahead and have at it. What is the common factor? And what we know, it isn't lupus. We're pretty sure it's not lupus.
It's not. It's never lupus.
It's never lupus.
No.
Except that one time it was lupus. Because it's not ethnicity or national origin, because that's clearly, these things don't have that in common. It's not class or gender. It's not diet or geography. It's choice. It's choosing. It's free will. None of the afflictions these people have are self-inflicted. No one chose to be blind or paralyzed or suffer from leprosy or to have a dying daughter. Whatever else the man with the withered hand or the blind man at Bethesda may be, the God Jesus was preaching about doesn't mete out punishments for some slight or some failure to perform some ritual or for no damn reason at all.
On the other hand, do you know what is a choice? Cruelty, willful ignorance, hypocrisy, lying, carrying out the bloody whims of a vicious tyrant, immiserating the poor, scapegoating the immigrant, and no one ever came to Jesus asking to have their assholery cured or their viciousness tempered. Please make me a better person on Fox.
Yeah. I feel bad about myself, Jesus. Make me a better person.
All of these are choices. And if you choose them, well, and here I'm going to misquote Don Vito Corleone, that Jesus does not forgive. And I've said this many times to Driftglass.
Yes.
I'm not perfect. I'm just forgiven. You're not forgiven.
You're not forgiven. No.
Yeah. Because however hard the choice may be and however high the price may be for taking the hard road, It's still a choice.
That's right. That's right. And that's the lesson behind who gets a healing miracle and why they get them, and who gets rebuked and why. Now consider, quote, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of bones of the dead and everything unclean." That is a very judgmental thing to say, and it's not a miracle. You're not promising to take their ugliness inside them away.
Yeah. You're going to be washed in my blood and everything will be great.
No, because you chose this. You chose to
Yeah.
be a hypocrite.
Yep. Also consider this, quote, "Jesus entered the temple courts and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves. It is written," he said to them, "my house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers," unquote.
Yeah, the modern translation is "no miracle for you." No miracle for you. So that's the bad news for all of our MAGA friends out there. No miracle for you. The good news is, if you are a cruel, lying, willfully ignorant hypocrite who voted for Trump 3 times and who's been just fine with immiserating and starving the poor, cutting off USAID, letting people like that die, and are just fine with masked goons rampaging through the streets of America, indiscriminately terrorizing and killing, but now you're real sorry. The good news is that there is a way back to civilization, or if you prefer, there's a way to save your mingy little soul.
However, the journey back from the deep hole you've dug for yourself is long and rough and not easy and smooth. And don't expect anyone you have victimized to greet you with open arms. This is not about the tolerant left. This is about your behavior. As far as we're concerned, however sincere you claim to be, you are a barely reformed drug addict who cannot be trusted and are on a long-term probation.
Yeah. If you're a fan of The Wire, you're Bubbles.
Yeah.
You keep relapsing and keep relapsing. In the end, he found redemption, but he robbed from his own family. He cheated them. And both you and I know something about addiction.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, we can't trust you. Hunter Thompson said something about you can trust a person, but you can't trust a drug.
Right.
Especially when that drug is waving a razor-sharp hunting knife in your eye, near your eye, which is exactly what MAGA people are doing right now. So, and if you don't like those terms, well, that's just tough shit. This isn't about what you want. This isn't about you at all. This is about trying to repair at least some of the incredible damage that you have done.
Now, this is from A.R. Moxon's excellent article, Culture of Healing. Quote, "Reparation, rehabilitation, redemption, reconciliation, restoration, a necessary taxonomy of healing in an age of unnecessary conversations. I think liberation from sickness and wounding is something known as healing. So I put it to you that the answer to a culture of abuse is to build a culture of healing. The answer to a society that incentivizes and rewards abuse and nurtures and protects abusers is to make a society that incentivizes and rewards healing and nurtures and protects healers. So what I'd like to do today is contemplate healing, what it is, what it isn't, how it works, so that hopefully I can construct a platform from which to operate. A quick count reveals I've written 8 essays on our culture of abuse, so maybe I can make 8 observations about healing, and then hopefully I can write at least as many entries about health as I have about abuse. That's parallelism, baby.
Yeah. It's a long essay, but boy, is it good. He continues, quote, "A couple of points before I start. First, I think the idea of healing is literal. I think that people who are being harmed by the MAGA cult and by the traditional spirit of the U.S. supremacy that fuels it have been badly wounded and desperately need healing from the wounds of trauma and their physical wounds and sickness. And as the victims of abuse, they must receive first our sympathy and our first priority in the national triage. Take care of the people that MAGA has damaged, in other words."
Yep. So here we go. Healing is a process of repair with a sequence. Let me suggest that healing is a repair of a wounded body. I would say body and mind, but the mind is a part of the body. Or a sickened national spirit. Let me lay out the following as a sequence for the process of repair: repentance, reparation, rehabilitation, reconciliation, restoration, redemption, renewal. I begin with the sequence because health can be so easily sabotaged by those who would like to be seen as aligned with healing while promoting abuse.
Mm-hmm.
This sabotage occurs when we treat all of these steps as somehow interchangeable,
Mm-hmm.
or we put a result like rehabilitation before the necessary reparation. We demand the redemption of abusers by forgiving them for things that they did not do to us before they are sorry for it. I just think about pardoning all those J6ers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rehabilitate them while their abuses are ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
And force false reconciliation and restoration upon their victims. And then we're just going to call it renewal.
Yeah. And you get that a lot from Never Trumpers, frankly.
Oh, and the
You know,
Tea Party was all about that.
Well, we've decided that we're going to let these people off the hook.
Yeah.
On behalf of all the Democrats and liberals, et cetera. We're
Right.
going to let them back into the tent. Look, what the fuck are you talking? You don't have that authority. I didn't give you that right.
Yeah.
You were part of them. And our mistake was letting you perhaps in the tent too quickly. But now
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You're thinking it's your job to steer the boat now. Yeah.
Right. And and we have the authority to grant redemption to people like Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, on behalf of other people that have nothing to do with us. And those people have no say in the matter, which is ridiculous.
Which is ridiculous.
And obscene. Anyway.
Going on with the Moxon article, we insist on healing without paying attention to what healing is, and then scold those who know that what we are healing is not the wound, but the reputations of those who wound for being opposed to healing, unquote. This is something we have talked about many times, that there can be no forgiveness without repentance, no redemption without atonement. This is the mistake centrist Democrats have made over and over again. It's arguably the worst mistake President Obama made. And we love President Obama.
Yeah. Yeah.
There should have been consequences for Iran-Contra. There should have been severe consequences for electing George Bush twice. There should have been severe consequences for the stars of hate radio and Fox News. And there should have been severe social consequences for the tens of millions of bigots and imbeciles and racists who are ultimately responsible for the plight we're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Anything less is what Dietrich Bonhoeffer called cheap grace. And all around us, we can all see the consequences of letting the right off the hook over and over again.
Yeah.
And this is so much about what's going on with media conglomerates.
Yeah. Yep.
Shifting their ownership and shifting their tone and becoming MAGA light or MAGA. Yeah.
Well, and what girds that is the both sides do it lie.
Yep.
That we're all sinners here, Blue Gal. So let's just forgive each other. And believe me, we're going to get around to that in just a minute. Trust us, because we have now gone from miracles to Marvel to mayonnaise to Moxon, and it's time for something completely different. A piece of writing which may indeed turn out to be the stupidest thing we will read this month.
It's from a gentleman named Gary Cosby Jr., who writes for the Tuscaloosa News. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that it breaks new ground in being stupid. No brave new worlds of stupid are being discovered here. Instead, Mr. Gary Cosby Jr. has swept up every extant stupid cliche about independence and the extremes on both sides and heaped them into a big old pile of stupid that is impressive in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way Superman can crush a lump of coal into a diamond, it's as if Mr. Crosby Jr. compressed every asinine New York Times editorial dating back to when the world was young into a single perfect diamond of stupid.
Yeah. And as long as this excerpt is, we're going to read a bit of a chunk from this guy's column. We kept looking for a better place to stop, but it just kept pouring out amazing stupid, like a stupid cornucopia.
We couldn't stop reading it out loud to each other and just like, oh, we have to include that part. Oh, we have to include that. Yeah. This is all podcastable.
This is our podcast. This is like the dark inversion of everything we talk about. This is we found
and you guys will be amused by this.
And we found patient zero, Blue Gal. We found
patient zero. Yeah,
but just a staggering number of people around here, and in people in purple areas, and Tuscaloosa talk this way all the time.
Yeah,
because the only way they can live with themselves. And as we read this, remember, this is being written in February of 2026, not in February of 1996. This is the 21st century we're talking about, not the 20th. So, quote, the headline says it all, Blue Gal. Independent voters increase as party extremism rises. I count one independent and one party extremism in that sense. President Donald Trump's approval rating continues to fall, with 60% of Americans now disapproving of him and only 39% approving. Oh, there's that number again, Blue Gal. There's that
39%. Uh-oh.
According to a story published by USA Today, while this spells trouble for Trump's controversial agenda, go ahead.
Say controversial one more goddamn time.
Say it. I swear he listened. This is just a Mad Lib of our podcast. Throw back in our face. I swear to God. Both Republicans and Democrats are in trouble as both parties bleed voters. Roca News, an independent online source, probably, never mind. I don't know about them.
Never mind.
Never mind. I don't want to get sued by anyone. Reported that a record number of American voters are identifying themselves as what, Blue Gal? What?
Independents.
As independents. Gallup polling indicates that 45% of voters now classify themselves as, say it with me now, independent. 24% said they were Republican, and equally 24% said they were Democrats. Roca said the trend was growing because many young voters refuse to register as either Democrats or Republicans as they seek to maintain political independence. This growing voting bloc, positioned in the political center.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. Is now the most powerful group of voters in America. Yeah, because they all act and think alike, Blue Gal.
Yeah, right. Well, the number of independents, this is continuing with the article.
Yeah.
While the number of independents is impressive, the numbers I found most enlightening were the 24s. Both major parties only have 24% of registered voters each. This spells trouble with a capital T for both parties.
Both sides, Blue Gal.
Extremism in both political traditional parties is driving away voters. I can tell you that, although I had always voted Republican before Donald Trump took over the party, I will not do so again, not as long as Trump and his philosophy dominate the party.
Oh, I'd like to add that Donald Trump did not take over your party. Your party threw itself at him because your party is a party of bigots and imbeciles and racists and gun nuts and homophobes and so forth. And he spoke their language, which apparently
came out and repeated everything Hannity said, and they said he's saying what I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. That's what happened. Again, poor Gary Cosby Jr. says, I have little desire to vote Democrat.
Yeah.
Except for the purpose of ending what I see as a festering tyranny in the Republican Party. Apparently, a growing number of voters feel as I do. This means that, what? Yeah, let's think about this. What would Gary Crosby think is the solution to this?
Yeah.
This means that both parties must have independent voters swing their way to win elections. When so many voters are situated in the middle. Astute political operatives will refocus their party to reach them, or someone will form a third party positioned in the political center.
Like George Wallace, who was also from Alabama. A noted political centrist, by the way, who used exactly this language to describe why he was forming a segregationist third party.
Yeah. Both sides were equally bad.
And I think we know who independents actually are. They're Republicans who don't want to admit they're Republicans.
Right.
And they're people who just can't make up their fucking mind no matter what you do.
No.
Who just don't want to pick a side ever under any
pollster who picks at this scab.
Yeah.
And tries to figure out, okay, what is it that you have a problem with?
Right.
And if it's Republicans, they're fascist, they're racist. Mm-hmm. I don't like that Trump's total lack of cohesive economic policy, and he's made my life definitely worse. And they'll end there. If you pick at it and ask about the Democrats, they don't go far enough to fight fascism. Right. They're weak. They're lily-livered. They're traditionalist and not fighters. And what I want in my party is a fighter.
Yeah, they want the independents on the left want Democrats to nuke the Republican Party.
Exactly.
And I don't think
they want to go far further left with economic policy.
Yeah, which ain't going to find a home in the center, Blue Gal.
No, and do something about Gaza.
Yeah.
You know, that's what the independents who refuse to be Democrats,
Right.
especially among the college students in this house,
Yeah.
are about.
We are a polling sample family.
We
Blue
are
Gal.
definitely a polling sample and a vocal polling sample.
Yes, we are. We have opinions. And then we come together during the general election because we're not stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the article. I never believed for a moment that a second Trump turn could be this bad. Oh, no. I couldn't believe it. I was wrong. It is far worse, far more extreme than my darkest fears painted it. Maybe I'm not alone. Maybe there's a huge number of Americans who feel as I do. I'm so tempted to go off on a David Brooks rant right now, but I'm not going to do it. Maybe despite the Trump administration's pressuring states to redraw their voting maps to favor Republicans, enough of us exist too, in the classic American political ideal, throw the bums out of the midterms. When Barack Obama was president, there were many issues on which I completely disagreed with him. There were some issues I found on which I did agree with him. That's pretty normal. It is rare for a president or any political leader to be so egregiously bad that I couldn't find something to like or agree with him or her about. I'm
sorry. This guy is completely rewriting his own personal.
Absolutely. This, and we're going to talk about this probably on Thursday or maybe next week about all the Trump voters who are saying they never voted for him.
Yeah.
Never met the guy. They're denying him like Peter in the garden.
A big chunk are either going completely silent on politics or saying, well, I didn't vote for this and I didn't vote for Trump. Yeah.
In Trump's first term, I gave him full marks for having a good economy that he inherited from Joe Biden and then promptly screwed up, right up until the 2020 global pandemic shut down the entire world economy for months. Had the pandemic not hit,
oh God,
had there not been a catastrophe, which we hire presidents to handle, I believe Trump would have been easily reelected. As it happened, the pandemic exposed him as a truly ineffective leader and an incompetent crisis manager, and a whole bunch of other things that all of us saw coming except Mr. Gary Cosby Jr. The problem for voters like me is obvious. Oh, tell it, Gary. The right has drifted too far to the extreme right, and the left has what, Blue Gal? What?
Drifted too far to the extreme left, Driftglass.
Yes, the left has drifted too far to the extreme left. We have lost our ability to carry on civil discourse, and as a result, we have lost the ability to compromise for the common good. Boy, do I remember the Obama administration different than Gary Cosby Jr.
Yes, I do too. And the signs about a lion African and not born in this country and
death
Trump
panels.
being a birther and sending death panels, but Trump sending investigators to Hawaii to find things that you wouldn't believe about Barack Obama's evil
and Gary Crosby's party being their strategy for winning back power was to sabotage and slander as much as possible and put Barack Obama on his back foot and hopefully win the midterms. And it worked. This big independent voting block, because, it's just one big block of people.
It's just one big block of people.
Gives me hope.
Yep.
It gives me hope for a better political future for the nation. If this group of voters finds a unifying candidate in the center, like Jeb would be perfect.
Jeb, exclamation point.
Or John Kasich, who's polling at 0.001%. Or maybe Barack Obama, who's a really, really centrist guy until the Republican Party got done with him.
In the White House is unlikely. The power of this group of voters could well draw both parties back into a more reasonable position and balance. That might even be more important than forming a third party. Extremism kills democracy. We must rein in the country's political parties soon. Immediately, if we have any hope of saving this nation's position as the world's most stable democracy.
Oh, that ship has sailed.
Even more important, we must bring these parties, plural, back toward the center to ensure freedom and civil rights for everyone in the population. Unquote. And this is just a gigantic lifeboat he's built.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yep.
And I just can't. It is just stunning. It is stunning the language he's using. And yet, this is the thing that people in Alabama who voted for Trump 3 times are going to pass around to one another and
Oh,
say
yeah,
it's the extremes on both sides, and that's what's led us astray.
This is some of the best writing I've ever seen. you know.
Right, right. Yeah. But that's Gary Cosby Jr., kids. He's his wonders to behold.
It's a healing miracle, Blue Gal.
Well, it is. It's a lifeboat. We have known this was coming since 2017.
Of course.
Since Trump was inaugurated. We've known they're going to rebrand as soon as Trump fails.
It's either both sides are to blame or I never met the guy, don't know what you're talking about.
Yep, never heard of him. Trump who?
And there'll be a fucking
I'm
armada.
part of the coffee filter party now.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
Coffee filter on my head and talk about the extremes on both sides until an extremist who does what I want comes to the forefront of the Republican Party.
And then I'll vote for him all over again.
That's
why there have to be consequences, severe consequences.
Severe consequences. I don't know if I've told you this, Driftglass, but George W. Bush is a good Christian man.
I've heard that from a lot of people who rather I not think about too hard what he did during his presidency or how he behaved.
Yep.
Anyway,
all right, let's do a news roundup. All right. This is from the New Hampshire Bulletin. Quote, State House passes bill banning leftist indoctrination and LGBTQ teaching in public schools.
Oh, thank God.
New Hampshire House Republicans are moving forward with a new attempt, and illegal and unconstitutional attempt, to regulate teaching on race, history, and LGBTQ plus issues in public schools. On Thursday, the chamber passed a bill that would ban certain types of instruction and punish teachers who carried it out. Now, hold back the barf in your mouth a little bit, folks. Known as the Charlie Act and named after the conservative activist Charlie Kirk, House Bill 1792 would prohibit schools from engaging in indoctrination of critical theories or related practices that promote division, dialectical worldviews.
Yeah.
Who's that guy who put the videos in schools? I can't remember his name, but he had all these indoctrinational videos that pretended to be like news stuff.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right-wing propaganda.
Yeah.
There's a lot of right-wing propaganda being pushed into America's schools. So all these dialectical worldviews.
There are a bunch of those people.
Yeah.
There's a whole industry of producing. Newt Gingrich has a whole series of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And trying to get this stuff into public schools is a big deal. Critical consciousness or anti-constitutional indoctrination. Like, they could teach this bill as anti-constitutional in 12th grade. The bill's title, this is the hardest this legislature has worked. The bill's title is called the Countering Hate and Revolutionary Leftist Indoctrination in Education Act. Forms the acronym CHARLIE, unquote. And it passed the House.
Yeah. Eat the rich, Blue Gal. Eat the rich. That's what I say.
Yep.
This is Trump talking about his Gilded Whorehouse ballroom project. Quote, it'll be under budget and ahead of schedule. It'll be $400 million or less, unquote. Here's your reminder. He originally said it was going to cost $200 million. Then he said $250 million, then $300 million. Now it's going to come in under budget at $400 million.
Under budget.
Yeah.
What
under
budget?
Under budget and ahead of schedule. Beautiful drapes, big hole. It'll be great.
All the drapes, yeah. Driftglass, this is today's Guess Which Party quiz.
Oh, yeah.
And it comes to us via the Alaska Beacon. Quote, Alaska lawmakers' chief of staff arrested on sex trafficking and child exploitation charges. A legislator's chief of staff was arrested in Juneau on Friday on federal charges of sex trafficking and child exploitation, enticement, and coercion, and creating child sexual abuse material. I think you said something about he's going to be the next Secretary of Interior.
Yeah, probably. Something like he'll be an assistant for a while, but yeah.
Craig Scott Valdez, 36, served as the chair of the Anchorage Young Republicans since January 2025, according to the organization's social media posts, unquote.
This is from the New Republic. Quote, turns out there was voter fraud in Georgia by Elon Musk. The State Board of Elections found Musk's PAC sent pre-filled ballot applications. If Donald Trump's administration really wants to find evidence of foreign influence in Georgia's elections, then they need look no further than the president's old friend, Elon Musk, and his shady super PAC. Members of the Georgia State Election Board voted Wednesday to issue a formal letter of reprimand to Musk's America PAC over the billionaire technocrat's illegal scheme to get Trump elected. Georgia, a key battleground state in 2024, was the target of aggressive campaigning by Trump's team. In October 2024, the Georgia Secretary of State's office launched an investigation after receiving numerous reports from residents across several counties saying they'd received partially pre-filled absentee ballot applications from Musk's America PAC, according to John Ferrer, the state elections board chairman. There was evidence to suggest America PAC had violated a state law that prohibits any person or entity other than an authorized relative to send an elector an absentee ballot application pre-filled with the elector's required information, according to Janice Johnston, the SEB's vice chairman. America PAC had also failed to display in a conspicuous location that this was not an official government publication, was not provided by the government, and was not a ballot, Johnston added, unquote.
This next story is the most disgusting story of the week.
Yeah.
And we're just waiting for a Reagan or Bush appointee to hammer it down and just slap it out of existence.
Yeah.
From the state of Kansas comes more gratuitous Republican cruelty aimed at humiliating and criminalizing every trans person in the state. All 6 of them. I mean, it's just awful. Quote, House substitute for Senate Bill 244 enacted by the Kansas legislature overriding Governor Kelly's veto requires Kansas-issued driver's licenses and identification cards to reflect the credential holder's sex at birth and directs the Division of Vehicles to comply with KSA 77207. What does this mean for you? If you have received this notice, our records indicate your current Kansas credential will no longer be valid. Additionally, please note that the legislature did not include a grace period for updating credentials. This means that once the law is officially enacted, your current credential will be invalid immediately, and you may be subject to additional penalties if you are operating a vehicle without a valid credential. Pursuant to this new law, if the gender sex indication on the face of your current credential does not match your sex assigned at birth, you are directed to surrender your current credential to the Kansas Division of Vehicles. Upon surrendering the credential, you will be issued a new credential reflecting the gender identification consistent with statutory requirements, unquote. Also, you'll probably have to count the number of gumballs in a jar in order to drive away.
Yeah.
Because it's that big in it.
Yeah. Well, and this, again, guess which party?
Guess which party?
This is from The Guardian. Quote, don't go to the U.S., not with Trump in charge. The U.K. tourist with a valid visa detained by ICE for 6 weeks. Karen Newton was in America on the trip of a lifetime when she was shackled, transported, and held for weeks on end. With tourism in the U.S. under increased strain, she says, if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone, unquote.
From the Arizona Mirror, February 19th, 2026, a campaign watchdog group has accused former U.S. Senator Kristen Sinema of illegally spending more than $700,000 in campaign cash on personal expenses, including on luxury hotel rooms, concert tickets, and fancy meals. When Sinema left office on January 3rd, 2025, her campaign account had $4.2 million on hand. By January 31st, 2026, when she filed a termination report for her campaign committee, all of that money had been spent.
Whoopsie.
Hey, now do Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, go after Kristen Sinema by all means.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We hammer her, but honest to God, I want to know what Marjorie Taylor Greene's doing with all that campaign money she's sitting on.
Oh, I think we all know. We can make a wild guess. This is from Kevin Cruz via Blue Sky. Quote, Labor Secretary Lori Chavez de Reamer is under fire for taking her staff to a strip club in Portland and keeping a stash of booze in her office. It's like this entire administration is a coke-fueled key party, unquote. And this is also breaking from the New York Times. Quote, the husband of Labor Secretary Lori Chavez de Reamer has been barred from the department's headquarters after at least 2 female staff members told officials that he had sexually assaulted them, according to people familiar with the decision, and a police report obtained by the Times, unquote. Nothing but the best people, Blue Gal. Nothing but the best people.
From NewJersey.com, quote, Abdelef Hafraoui sits at a small dining table at the Bayonne apartment he shares with his wife, Sandra, sipping his morning coffee. a ritual unchanged over their 15 years of marriage. Since August, however, that routine has been shadowed by months in ICE detention and the black ankle monitor now strapped around his leg. The couple paid a $15,000 bond for his release just before Thanksgiving. Abdellatif spent 108 days detained from August 11th to November 26th after ICE agents arrested him at Newark Liberty International Airport. His Moroccan passport remains in government custody while his immigration case proceeds. To think we were MAGA, Sandra proclaimed. The couple even attended a Trump rally in Las Vegas in 2020. Sandra voted for President Trump 3 times, believing enforcement would focus on people with criminal records, not individuals like her husband. Asked what she would say to him now, she paused. You said you were going after the worst of the worst, but instead you ruined our life, she said, unquote.
You know, if you voted for Trump 3 times, you really are kind of the worst of the worst. This is from Donald Trump himself. This was over his crappy social media thing. And if you've managed to keep your meal down so far, just grin and bear it because we got one more comment. Quote, the White House Correspondents Association has asked me very nicely to be the honoree at this year's dinner, a long and storied tradition since it began in 1924 under then-President Calvin Coolidge. In honor of our nation's 250th birthday and the fact that these correspondents, quote-unquote, now admit that I am truly one of the greatest presidents in the history of our country, the GOAT, according to many, it'll be my honor to accept their invitation and work to make it the greatest, hottest, and most spectacular dinner of any kind ever.
Wait a minute.
All caps.
Hottest?
Hottest, baby.
Oh,
hottest.
Judas Priest.
Because the press was extraordinarily bad to me. Fake news all. Right from the beginning of my first term, I boycotted the event and never went as an honoree. However, I look forward to being with everyone this year.
So they're going to give him a little trophy. That's what they're going to do. They're going to give him a greatest of all time trophy. Because why else would he show up? That's how they do. All right. One last thing. Today, Kristi Noem jumped into the lead in the Who Will Trump Throw Under the Bus First sweepstakes. In her zombie Stepford wife voice, she tried and failed spectacularly to deflect everything. She denied saying things that she had already said on the record, claiming that the quotes were being read from a newspaper that uses anonymous sources. No, they're being read from the transcript. Republican Senator Kennedy very clearly accused her of corruption and misusing her office and taxpayer money to promote herself. Mm-hmm. And Democratic Senator Alex Padilla came with charts showing that, quote, the Trump administration has lost in court on immigration cases more than 4,500 times since October alone, unquote. When Senator Dick Durbin, who is, I guess, still there until November,
until the election,
okay, pushed to retract her previous slander of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, claiming they were domestic terrorists. Noem blamed it on what she had been told by ICE and CPB agents on the ground.
Because they would definitely know if they were domestic terrorists.
This was a domestic terrorist. When Senator Cory Booker asked Noem about a warehouse for which she paid twice what it was worth, she tried to filibuster. He cut her off and went on to ask about DHS refusing to set up a meeting with the Republican town board that doesn't want the warehouse. Cory Booker, you're telling me under oath that you have not detained American children? Kristi Noem, we don't detain children. Their parents have chosen to keep them. Cory Booker, how long do detentions last when you detain citizens? Kristi Noem, we don't. Cory Booker, you are not speaking truthfully under oath.
Yep. She's committing perjury every time she opens her mouth.
Left, right, and center. Mm-hmm. And then Senator Tom Tillis roasted her over FEMA and brought up her dog, the dog she shot.
Yep. Comparing that to her, the way she runs her office and her testimony and everything else. Which, they get real brave when they're about to retire, I got to say.
Hey, everybody. Feel free to write us at proleftpodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. Be aware that if you write to us at any of our addresses, we reserve the right to read your email or U.S. Postal Service Go Postal Unions letter on the air unless you say otherwise. I am not nearly on Blue Sky as much as I used to be before. We are having a thunderstorm here, folks. Big thunder coming through the microphone.
It's the gods are angry at us for all this.
The gods are angry at me over abandoning Blue Sky. That's what it is.
That's right. Get back on Blue Sky. Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't abandoned it, and I'm just, I'm just working 40 hours a week away from my husband and my home to have health insurance for the next few years. So
yeah, for you and the kid.
Yep, for me and the kid.
Something you could do, all you folks out there, all you good people, is for free, you can share our show on social media. And if you love this podcast, you can get someone else to listen to it too. And we really appreciate when you do that.
And we appreciate your donations via Patreon. Becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/ProLeftPod is one of the best ways to support us and support the work we do. So thank you for doing that. Driftglass, how are the Internet Kitties doing this week?
Well, Blue Gal, the Internet Kitties, I've heard, are looking forward to partying hard. We're away overnight to Chicago for Stitch Up Chicago and possibly some WCPT radio shenanigans.
So watch that space.
Yeah.
I'm going to a knitting convention in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have, and we've got cat sitters.
Yes.
So they're going to be fine.
Now, apparently the gods are angry that you're going.
They're angry that we're abandoning the Internet Kitties. Yeah, in this house. All right. Thank you, Driftglass.
Love you, darling.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Let's think about living. Let's think about loving. Let's think about the hooping and the hopping and the bopping and the lovey-dovey. Let's forget about the whine and the crying, the shooting and the dying, and the fellow with a switchblade knife. Let's think about living. Let's think about life. The Professional Left podcast is produced and recorded under a Creative Commons license. Copyright DGBG Productions. ProLeftPod.com.